Our story begins with tension rising inside a dimly lit room. The angry man with short hair and armor shouts fiercely at the young man in the cloak, accusing him of being useless and only tolerated out of pity. Meanwhile, the man with a cape and armor loses his balance, falling backward as chaos unfolds. The angry man with short hair lashes out at Lyle, condemning him for lingering in the party without fighting and for handing over a shoddy shield. Lyle calmly defends his skills, explaining that his repairs saved them from a wyvern's attack. Nearby, the man wearing an apron stays focused on fixing weapons while the woman with long hair watches silently. The angry man with short hair harshly declares to Lyle that he is out of the party and that his useless tasks end today. Lyle, looking sad and resigned, accepts the harsh words and quietly walks away. The tension in the room is palpable as the dismissal sinks in. The woman with long hair stands firmly, holding the large shield that successfully deflected the wyvern's attack. Lyle looks surprised as he gazes at the shield, questioning whether it truly belongs to him. The tension from earlier confrontations has momentarily eased in this quiet room. The woman with long hair and a cape calmly declares she will take the shield crafted by the expelled member. As she turns to leave, Lyle watches her thoughtfully, still puzzled by the strange man who was just kicked out. The atmosphere is tense but quiet, the decision hanging in the air. Lyle walks alone through the town square, his expression heavy with sadness and self-doubt. He finally sits on a bench, lost in thought, feeling the weight of the angry man's harsh words about his uselessness to the party. The angry man's furious face flashes in his mind, deepening his sense of being a burden. Lyle sits on a bench, looking worried and surprised as Mr. Repairman kindly offers him a job, despite Lyle's struggles and recent harsh words. This calm invitation hints at a new opportunity ahead. The peaceful outdoor setting contrasts with the tension from earlier conflicts. The man wearing apron and armor calmly offers Lyle a sword to repair, asking for his price. Lyle, sitting on a bench, looks surprised and uncertain at the unexpected job offer. The tension from earlier confrontations lingers, but a new opportunity arises. Rindo-san calmly confirms that the sword on the table belongs to her. The man wearing the apron and armor carefully inspects the blade, examining it with focused attention. Their quiet exchange hints at the importance of the weapon. The man wearing an apron and armor carefully inspects a worn sword, assuring Rindo-san that he will do his utmost to repair it despite its age. Rindo-san listens attentively, considering his offer. The man wearing apron and armor smiles calmly as he entrusts Lyle with the sword. Leaving it in his hands, Lyle, surprised but attentive, accepts the responsibility with a determined nod. The moment marks the beginning of Lyle's new task to repair the weapon. Lyle, holding the sword entrusted to him, calls out his own name in surprise, his eyes sparkling with a mix of excitement and determination. He reminds himself that if he lingers too long, his father will scold him, adding a sense of urgency to his resolve. Lyle happily shows a decorated plate to the elderly man, calling him grandpa and asking if he made it. The elderly man gently explains that he repairs things rather than creating decorations. Their warm exchange reveals their close bond and the grandfather's true role as a craftsman. Grandpa calmly explains how he repairs various items, restoring not only their shape and color but also the memories they hold. Lyle listens thoughtfully, clearly moved by the deeper meaning behind the craft. The quiet workshop atmosphere reflects the bond between them and the care put into each restoration. Lyle eagerly expresses his desire to try fixing something on his own. His determination clear, Grandpa sits beside him, offering gentle support as Lyle sketches a design on paper. The workshop atmosphere is filled with quiet encouragement and focused energy. Lyle focuses intently on the sword before him, carefully inspecting its details. He works diligently, using a tool to repair or sharpen the guard. With steady hands, he holds the blade near the forge's flame, heating it as part of the restoration process. Filled with determination, Lyle grips the sword tightly with a cloth and enthusiastically declares, "All right." Ready to begin the repair work, his excitement shows he's eager to prove his skills. Lyle nervously calls out to Rindo-san, holding up a bag full of coins as he questions if she is certain about something. Calm and attentive, Rindo-san looks at him and asks what's on his mind, addressing him gently as Lyle-kun. The tension in the room hints at an important decision weighing on the young man. Rindo-san calmly praises Lyle for his exceptional work, acknowledging his effort. Lyle, nervous yet eager, asks why his skills were requested in the first place. Suddenly, the angry man with short hair bursts out, shouting that Lyle's useless tasks are over and that he is out of the party. Lyle reflects thoughtfully on the shield he repaired, surprised by how well it has held up without any new damage despite heavy use. This moment reveals his growing confidence in his repair skills and the durability of his work. Lyle, filled with determination, speaks passionately about his dream to sharpen his skills and one day open his own repair shop. He looks up to Mr. Repairman, recognizing himself as just a novice compared to his grandfather's mastery. The workshop around them hums quietly, a place of learning and legacy. Rindo-san calmly reveals to Lyle that the sword he repaired was a treasured heirloom left to her by her late father. Lyle's eyes widen in surprise, realizing the deep personal value behind the weapon he has been working on. This revelation adds a new weight to his efforts and determination. Mr. Repairman notes that the sword bears a fading family crest, indicating its cherished status. Rindo-san confirms the sword is hers and reflects on how she used it boldly during her early adventurer days, which caused it to wear down over time. Her determined expression shows the deep connection she has with this treasured weapon. Rindo-san holds the sword gently, her eyes reflecting a deep calm as she expresses gratitude for its careful repair. Lyle listens intently, surprised and contemplative, absorbing the significance of the sword as a cherished heirloom from Rindo-san's late father. The weight of the moment settles quietly between them in the workshop. Lyle sits quietly, lost in thought as he reflects on his memories with Grandpa. The image of young Lyle happily holding a decorated plate on Grandpa's lap reminds him of the gentle guidance he once received. Determined, he resolves to become a repairman like his grandfather, one who mends not only weapons but also cherished memories. Lyle expresses his heartfelt thanks to Rindo-san for trusting him with her late father's sword. Smiling warmly, Rindo-san replies that she should be the one thanking him. Their mutual gratitude fills the quiet workshop with a sense of respect and connection. Rindo-san calmly asks Lyle if he truly believes his dream will come true. Lyle responds quietly with a determined yes, clenching his gloved fist to show his resolve before turning his head away. The moment captures the weight of his commitment in the quiet workshop. Lyle confidently declares that he will make his dream come true, his determination shining through. Rindo-san smiles warmly, telling him that he'll be busier than ever from now on. Though a bit nervous, Lyle agrees, realizing the path ahead is demanding but promising. A massive dragon unleashes a fierce roar, its jaws wide open and teeth bared aggressively at the two women standing before it. Both the woman with long hair in armor and cape and the young woman with short hair in a cloak react with shock and alarm, caught off guard by the sudden threat deep within the dungeon entrance. The tension escalates as the dragon's menacing presence dominates the scene. The massive dragon roars fiercely, its jaws wide open and teeth bared. As Rindo-san and the young woman in a cloak stand together, tense and serious, Rindo-san warns that their current equipment won't be enough to defeat the beast. The young woman agrees, urging a strategic retreat for now. Rindo-san grips her sword firmly, her expression steeled with determination as she draws the blade, ready for the imminent confrontation. She prepares to face the threat head-on. The tense atmosphere underscores her resolve to protect what matters most. The angry man with short hair, transformed into a fierce dragon, roars fiercely at Rindo-san. Undeterred, Rindo-san charges forward with her sword drawn, her determined gaze fixed on the beast. Despite warnings about her flimsy weapon, she presses on toward the daunting threat. Our story continues as calm returns to the weapon repair shop. Mr. Repairman, feeling relieved, notices a new client arriving. A woman in a long dress accompanied by Rindo-san standing calmly behind her. He warmly welcomes them, signaling the start of a new encounter. Asha firmly insists that she be recognized by her noble name and status. Refusing to be seen as a commoner, she commands Rindo-san to behead a man immediately, asserting her authority. Meanwhile, Lyle tries to calm Asha down, addressing her respectfully as Asha-sama. Asha introduces Lyle as a skilled repairman she highly recommends. Lyle modestly greets her, giving his full name, Lyle Disguile. Asha listens with a curious and slightly skeptical expression, questioning whether he truly has the skills she claims. Lyle carefully examines the old, worn child's dress spread out on the table, his expression a mix of curiosity and surprise. Nearby, the woman with long hair, wearing a dress with a bow and frills, stands silently as he studies the garment. This moment reflects Lyle's awareness of being here thanks to Rindo-san's recommendation and hints at the dress's possible significance. Someone insists firmly that the item is indeed a dress, pressing the young man for a clear answer. The young man responds nervously, struggling to explain himself. Calmly, Rindo-san reveals that the dress once belonged to Asha-sama's mother when she was a child. Mr. Repairman studies the damaged yet finely crafted dress with a puzzled expression, wondering why such a treasured item was brought here. Asha, standing nearby with her back turned, begins to explain the dress's significance, linking it to her mother's past. Rindo-san watches quietly from the background, her shield resting by her side. Asha firmly commands Lyle to repair the damaged dress without delay. Lyle listens attentively, clearly surprised by the urgency. Nearby, Mr. Repairman watches uncertainly, unsure how to respond to the sudden order. Asha-san announces she must be excusing herself and swiftly turns to leave, her expression serious and hurried. Mr. Repairman watches her go with concern, wondering why she seems so pressed for time. Nearby, Lal calls out to Rindo-san, who promptly turns toward him, alert to the sudden urgency. Lal apologizes to Asha for abruptly stopping her and trying to leave without explaining himself. Asha, seated at the table, looks serious and asks why she seems to be in such a hurry. The two share a moment of quiet tension as they face each other in the room. Mr. Repairman reflects on the deeper meaning behind repairing the dress, emphasizing that it involves understanding the emotions and stories woven into it. Lal expresses his wish to fully grasp the dress's significance, while Asha-sama recalls meeting Miranda-sama years ago during a bodyguard mission. The conversation reveals the strong connections and history tied to the dress and its owner. Mr. Repairman solemnly explains to the young man in the cloak that the woman lying weakly in bed suffers from an incurable disease and that her condition is steadily worsening. The young man listens intently, concern etched on his face as the gravity of her illness becomes clear. The quiet room holds a heavy atmosphere, underscoring the seriousness of the situation. Asha apologizes to Mr. Repairman on behalf of Asha-sama for her rude behavior, explaining it stems from the pain of her mother's worsening illness. Mr. Repairman calmly reassures her that no apology is necessary under such difficult circumstances. Asha-sama's sorrowful image lingers in the inset, highlighting the emotional weight behind the dress repair. Rindo-san sits at the table, her expression serious as she earnestly asks Lyle to lend his expertise in repairing the dress. Lyle listens thoughtfully, considering the weight of the request tied to the dress's sentimental value for Miranda-sama. Lyle firmly promises to take care of repairing the dress. Asking for the chance to do so, Rindo-san responds with a calm smile, expressing her gratitude and trust in his skills. The weight of responsibility settles as Lyle prepares to fulfill this important task. Mr. Repairman explains to Rindo-san that the dress is so old and worn that its original appearance is impossible to determine. Suggesting they must consult Miranda-san for guidance, Rindo-san listens seriously, acknowledging the challenge posed by the garment's current condition. The weight of the repair task hangs heavily between them in the quiet room. Mr. Repairman calmly explains to the man with long hair and armor that a renowned repairman once fixed the dress. The man listens intently, questioning the reliability of the information from Miranda-sama. Meanwhile, Lyle, standing nearby, reacts with surprise and excitement, grateful to Rindo-san for helping uncover this promising lead. Lyle trudges forward, anxiously studying the paper in his hands as he searches for the address. His eyes widen in surprise at the sight of the grand mansion guarded by two armored sentinels standing firmly at the gate. The imposing estate hints at the importance of the place he has arrived at. The angry armored man demands to know Lyle's purpose as he approaches the gate. Lyle nervously introduces himself as the repairman commissioned to fix the old dress. Inside, the woman in the elegant dress looks on with surprise and curiosity at the unexpected visitor. Asha-sen confronts the young man with short hair, demanding angrily why he has come here, calm and apologetic. He assures her he means no harm and needs to ask her something important. The tension between them is palpable outside the grand lady's house. Lyle presents a carefully drawn paper to Asha-sama, explaining the reconstructed design of the dress. He inquires about a missing jewelry or ornament on the sleeve, hoping to restore it perfectly for her mother. A guard nearby informs Asha-sama that she may leave, while she listens attentively to Lyle's explanation. The woman with long hair, clutching papers tightly, expresses her frustration after searching every jewelry store in town without success. Determined, she asks if anyone has any information that could help find the missing part. With resolve, she moves forward, continuing her search through the streets. Asha, holding the tattered dress, asks her mother why she hasn't thrown it away yet. The woman calmly explains that the dress is a precious memory and suggests it might be too soon to share more about it. Their quiet conversation reveals the emotional weight the dress carries. The young woman with short hair warns her mother that the brooch on the dress is about to fall off. The woman with short hair gently inspects the dress, noticing the loosened clasp, and carefully removes the brooch. This moment highlights the delicate condition of the cherished garment. The woman gently holds Asha's hands, offering her warm and encouraging words about growing up and becoming a beautiful young woman. Asha listens with a curious and slightly surprised expression, touched by the kindness in the room. The atmosphere is tender and filled with hope for the future. The woman with long hair, wearing a dress with a bow, clasps her hands together solemnly as she contemplates something deeply. Without a word, she then turns and walks out through the door, leaving the room behind as night falls outside. Mr. Repairman sighs in frustration, holding his head as he struggles to find suitable materials for the dress. Suddenly, Asha appears at the doorway, politely excusing herself for arriving at this late hour. The tension in the room shifts as Mr. Repairman looks up, surprised by her unexpected visit. The woman in the elegant dress bows politely to Lyle, earnestly asking him to show his determination concerning the matter of the dress. Lyle listens silently, surprised by her serious tone. The quiet room holds the weight of this important request. Our story continues with tension rising as Miranda-sama stands firmly in the doorway. Observing the scene, Asha-san, shocked and overwhelmed, abruptly runs away from the room, her expression filled with distress. Meanwhile, Lyle-kun urgently calls out to her, reaching out in an attempt to stop her from leaving. Grandpa kneels desperately by Miranda's bedside, clutching her hand and pleading for her not to give up. Nearby, two attentive maids stand quietly, while another woman in a dress looks out the window with deep concern. The room is heavy with worry as Miranda lies weak and sweating in bed. Grandpa calls out to Asha, his expression filled with concern as he speaks to her about the tattered dress. Asha listens quietly, her face somber and reflective, caught in the weight of the moment. The room's stillness emphasizes the gravity of their conversation. Grandpa kneels beside Mother's bedside, his face full of concern as he calls out to her softly, "Asha?" The frail woman lying in bed weakly responds with a faint sound. Nearby, Asha and Mr. Repairman watch anxiously, the weight of the moment heavy in the room. The woman with short hair, wearing a dress with a bow and frills, clasps her hands near her chest and smiles warmly. Her eyes closed in joy, she expresses heartfelt happiness to finally be someone's daughter. The tender moment fills the room with a sense of emotional relief and connection. The woman with long hair, wearing a dress with a bow and frills, holds a sparkling brooch delicately in her hands. With a soft and hopeful expression, she reflects on past words and vows to become a wonderful woman like the one she admires. The elegant room around her adds to the quiet determination in her promise. Mother lies weakly in bed, tears streaming down her face as she tearfully asks Grandpa to watch over her while she finds her happiness. Grandpa kneels beside her, holding her hand gently and responding with heartfelt concern, calling her Asha. In a soft, emotional tone, the room is filled with a quiet, poignant moment of farewell and love. Lyle presents a beautifully wrapped dress to the young woman, who reacts with surprise and joy as she holds it up excitedly. Meanwhile, a tearful woman in a dress with a bow smiles emotionally, whispering, "You're so beautiful." The moment is filled with heartfelt admiration and hope. The young woman with the large bow admires the dress she holds up in front of a mirror, her face bright with excitement. Nearby, the young man shows her a book or document, sharing plans with a cheerful smile. Together, they hold hands, ready to step outside into the garden beyond the columns. Lyle stands joyfully with his arms wide open beside the young woman crowned with flowers, both sharing a moment of happiness in a bright field. Nearby, Grandpa looks on tearfully, his sorrow mirrored by Mother lying peacefully yet tearful in bed. The scene contrasts the warmth of youthful joy with the bittersweet emotions of farewell. Soft petals drift gently outside the grand church, where inside, numerous figures sit quietly in the solemn space. A heartfelt thank you echoes, filling the serene atmosphere with gratitude. Asha, calm but slightly surprised, greets Mr. Repairman with a soft, "It's been a while." Mr. Repairman, caught off guard, responds with a surprised, "Asha-san." Their reunion hints at the passage of time since they last met. The woman with long hair, wearing a dress with a bow and frills, apologizes to Mr. Repairman for her earlier rude behavior and expresses her gratitude for mending her mother's dress. She then hands him important papers left by her mother. While Mr. Repairman listens attentively, the scene takes place in a quiet room with a bed and furniture, reflecting a somber yet respectful moment. Mr. Repairman reads a letter with a thoughtful and slightly surprised expression, while the woman with long hair in a dress with a bow watches him quietly. The letter seems to confirm something important, deepening the moment's significance. Lyle reads a heartfelt letter revealing that the repairman, known as Lond, was actually Grandpa in disguise. The letter also contains an apology for missing the funeral, deepening the emotional connection between them. Grandpa sits quietly at the desk, his back turned as Lyle absorbs the message. Lyle quietly reads a letter, his expression thoughtful as he reflects on his grandpa's careful mending of the dress to preserve precious memories. Nearby, the young woman in the cloak listens silently, sharing in the moment of contemplation. The significance of the famous repairman and the treasured garment weighs gently between them. The woman with long hair gently admits her initial doubts and apprehensions about entrusting her mother's memories to the young man. He responds calmly, sharing that he felt the same way but is now confident in their trust. Their quiet conversation reveals the weight of the responsibility they share. Asha, clearly frustrated, demands Mr. Repairman stop calling her so formally and insists he use her first name. Mr. Repairman smiles warmly, reassuring her while acknowledging her efforts. Their conversation reveals a desire to move past formalities and embrace a more familiar friendship. The woman with long hair in the dress with bow and frills looks thoughtful as she tells Mr. Repairman, who is sitting relaxed on the couch laughing, "You never told me that you were the daughter of a duke." He responds with an amused smile, admitting, "I guess not." The woman in the elegant dress gently asks Lyle-san to help complete a dress based on memories. Surprised but attentive, Lyle agrees to take on the delicate request. Their quiet determination fills the room with a hopeful resolve. Mr. Repairman warmly expresses his hope to keep in touch with Asha, who responds with a bright and cheerful agreement. The two share a moment of mutual understanding and friendship in the cozy room. Lyle, sitting on a bench, asks the woman in the dress where Rindo-san is. Suddenly, a nervous young man opens the door, stammering an apology as he enters the room. The atmosphere is calm but tinged with curiosity and slight tension. The woman with long hair urgently hands Mr. Repairman a damaged dress, pleading for his help to repair it. Mr. Repairman looks surprised and hesitates, responding with a tentative air. The young woman nervously holds up a damaged piece of fabric embroidered with flowers, showing it to Mr. Repairman. He studies the fabric intently, his expression serious as he considers the delicate task ahead. Their quiet exchange underscores the importance of restoring this precious memory. The young woman urgently pleads with Mr. Repairman to fix the damaged fabric, promising to pay for the repair. After her earnest request, she quickly runs off, leaving Mr. Repairman holding the torn cloth with a surprised and concerned expression. Our story continues as the woman with long hair, wearing a dress with bow and frills, thoughtfully contemplates a delicate hairpin. Mr. Repairman, standing calmly in the background, notices her lingering thoughts and gently comments on how the hairpin still weighs on her mind. The moment hints at the deeper connection this small item may have to a boy and his mother, stirring quiet reflection in the room. Mr. Repairman examines the broken hairpin carefully, explaining its material and condition to the seated woman in the dress with bow and frills. She questions whether the hairpin might have been stolen, while Lyle contemplates the possibility that it could be linked to crimes committed by impoverished people. The atmosphere is tense as they consider the implications of the damaged item. The young woman urgently hands over the damaged fabric with flower embroidery, pleading for it to be repaired. The woman in the dress with bow and frills calmly offers to help trace the origin of the hairpin. Lyle looks on, surprised and excited by the offer of assistance. The woman with long hair, dressed in a bow-adorned gown, studies old books and portraits in a quiet library, her expression thoughtful. She searches intently, trying to recall where she has seen the distinctive hairpin ornament before. Her mind races through memories as she examines the familiar images around her. The woman with long hair and a black ribbon hesitates, contemplating whether she can help Lyle. She then politely greets Princess Fran, who looks surprised but reassures her that there is still time before her father finishes his business. The two share a quiet moment outside near the building's columns. Princess Fran greets Asha warmly, expressing her happiness to see her again and calling her One-ichan, highlighting their close sisterly bond. The atmosphere is gentle and bright, reflecting the warmth of their reunion. Princess Fran approaches Asha-san with curiosity, asking what she is doing. Calm and thoughtful, Asha-san replies that she was talking to a little flower fairy. The two share a quiet moment outside near the castle towers. The woman with long hair, wearing a dress with a bow and frills, smiles brightly as she holds a small, delicate fairy-like figure in her hand. She cheerfully remarks, "Oh, that sounds like fun," showing her genuine interest and excitement. The background sparkles subtly, highlighting the magical or special nature of the moment. Princess Fran excitedly points toward the air, calling Asha-san One-ichan, as she talks about fairies. Asha-san listens thoughtfully, a hint of surprise on her face. Nearby, two small children whisper quietly, adding to the curious atmosphere. Princess Fran, calm and thoughtful, explains to Asha-san that she was caught up in her thoughts but now has something important to ask. Asha-san listens attentively, concerned and curious if something is the matter. Their quiet conversation hints at an important topic about to unfold. The woman with long hair, wearing a dress with a bow and frills, quietly notes the hairpin she is wearing. Her contemplative expression lingers as the scene shifts to a view of the town's rooftops outside. Mr. Repairman scans the intricate maze of narrow streets and worn buildings, his expression thoughtful yet surprised as he searches for the boy who ran off. The complexity of the slum weighs on him, but he remains determined to find the child. The angry man in the hood demands that Tenya hand over the hairpin. Shouting insults at him, Tenya defiantly refuses, shouting back with equal determination. The man raises his fist, preparing to strike as the tension escalates in the rundown room. Lal firmly grabs the young man in the hooded cloak, who looks surprised and defensive. The young man shouts in confusion, but Lal calmly warns him not to hurt his friend again. Tension rises as the confrontation unfolds, with others quickly retreating from the scene. Lal calmly introduces himself to Tenya and apologizes for arriving so suddenly. Tenya, looking tired and marked with dirt, explains that the local children steal to survive and had recently tried to take a valuable hairpin. The conversation reveals the harsh reality of life in the slum near the broken stairs. Mr. Repairman questions the young man in the vest about his involvement in the crimes and the fairies. The young man, looking distressed, explains that he hears the fairies' voices and has been treated harshly, especially after his parents passed away. Mr. Repairman gently places a reassuring hand on the young man's shoulder, expressing his belief in him despite the difficult situation. The young man, shadowed and distressed, looks down, feeling the weight of the moment. Mr. Repairman acknowledges the effort made to protect the hairpin, offering quiet support. Tears stream down the young person's face as they sit on a crate, visibly emotional and remorseful. Mr. Repairman stands nearby, speaking gently and placing a reassuring hand on their shoulder, praising their bravery and apologizing for leaving abruptly without explanation. The young person listens intently, ready to explain about the hairpin and the fairies. The woman in the cloak gently asks the young person if they can also see them. Her expression filled with hope. The young person, surprised but curious, begins walking toward her, drawn by her words. Their connection deepens as they share this mysterious vision. The young person with medium-length dark hair asks Princess Fran if she came to town and got lost after being separated from an adult. Princess Fran calmly confirms it's her first time here and explains that she followed the fairies' lead, which brought her to this place. The damaged wall behind them hints at the rough surroundings they find themselves in. The young person, still surprised but hopeful, firmly holds the woman's hand and reassures her, promising to take her back to where her adult friends are. The woman, calm but concerned, listens intently as they stand together in a damaged room with cracked walls. Their bond strengthens as they prepare to face whatever lies ahead. The armored man urgently shouts out, calling for Princess Fran and demanding to know where she is. Meanwhile, the woman with long hair gently holds the young person's hand, guiding and comforting them as they move through the narrow medieval streets. Tension rises as the search for the princess intensifies. The woman in the cloak gently hands a hairpin to the young person, who looks surprised and hopeful as they receive it. The young person touches the hairpin, clearly moved by the gesture. This quiet moment suggests a new bond or reassurance between them. The woman with long hair and a hood gently thanks the young person for their help, complimenting their face with a warm smile. The young person, flustered and embarrassed, shyly refuses to accept the praise. Their quiet exchange shows a tender moment of encouragement and humility between them. The woman with the hooded cloak smiles gently as she offers to lend something to the young person, asking them to return it one day. The young person, surprised and blushing, listens attentively in the quiet town street. Mr. Repairman, thoughtful and concerned, asks the young person if they know where the girl who gave the hairpin might be. The young person, looking down with sadness, reveals that the girl is Princess Fran, the princess of this kingdom, but admits they cannot meet her. The young person explains to Mr. Repairman that Fran is the princess, while they themselves are just an orphan with no social standing to be near her. Mr. Repairman questions why someone like the young person would be involved with the princess, showing curiosity and doubt. In the background, the young person reflects quietly, surrounded by the cityscape and roses, emphasizing their somber thoughts. The young person sits quietly on a crate, lost in thought as they reflect on the promise whispered to them by the fairies. A gentle woman stands nearby, her calm presence offering silent support, determined. The youth hopes to one day become a self-made person, carrying that hopeful message in their heart. Ashasama speaks with calm confidence, declaring that he will come here by his own strength to return it to her. Nearby, a woman with long hair in a dress stands quietly by the window, listening. The scene conveys hope and certainty about the future. Our story continues with tension rising inside a modest room. The young person with medium-length hair shouts fiercely at Mr. Repairman, vehemently refusing to let his son, Lyle, follow the path of a repairman. Meanwhile, Lyle peeks nervously from behind a door, caught in the middle of this heated exchange. The young man, his face shadowed with anger, shouts at Mr. Repairman, accusing him of disregarding family feelings and mocking his reputation. Mr. Repairman listens silently, standing firm but clearly affected by the harsh words in the quiet, sunlit room. The tension between them hangs heavy, revealing a deep rift in their relationship. Grandpa sits quietly, gazing thoughtfully at a book or photo frame, lost in deep reflection. Meanwhile, Lal lies in bed nearby, his eyes wide with shock and sweat beading on his face, clearly unsettled by something. The room holds a heavy, contemplative atmosphere as past emotions weigh on them both. The young person suddenly wakes up in bed, startled and questioning if what they experienced was just a dream. They quickly remind themselves that today is an important day. Outside the window, the castle stands quietly under the morning light. Lal nervously mentions to Asha-sama that Her Majesty plans to visit, clearly anxious about the occasion. Asha-sama smiles warmly and laughs, reassuring him not to worry. Nearby, Grandpa encourages Lyle to relax and not be so formal, easing the tension in the room. The king, seated on his throne, personally requests Mr. Repairman's assistance with a delicate repair, acknowledging how well he has cared for Princess Fran. Asha-sama stands quietly nearby as Mr. Repairman listens nervously, holding the worn item that needs fixing. The royal endorsement marks a pivotal moment for the young craftsman. The woman with long hair calmly explains to the young man the significance of the holy scripture of the Church of St. Lugnica, revealing its connection to ancient elven magic and powerful spells. Nearby, a man wearing a crown and cape listens attentively, while another woman stands quietly beside him. The room's mystical atmosphere underscores the gravity of the knowledge being shared. The older man wearing a crown and fur cloak solemnly requests Repairman Lyle to restore an ancient and culturally significant book, emphasizing the challenge of deciphering its elvish script. Lyle reacts with surprise and concern at the weight of the task. The noble grants Lyle permission to enter a special room to carry out the delicate repair. Till-Lo, a calm and polite young elf from the village of elves, introduces himself to Lyle and offers his assistance in repairing and deciphering the holy scripture. Lyle looks surprised but attentive as the woman in the dress with bow and frills stands quietly behind him. The setting suggests a quiet, thoughtful moment of collaboration about the important task ahead. The king solemnly asks Lyle if he will accept the important request before him. Lyle's eyes widen in surprise and concern, clearly taken aback by the gravity of the moment. The weight of the royal command hangs heavily in the air. Asha-sama questions Grandpa about why he chose Lyle for this important task. Grandpa calmly explains that he gave Lyle a small test to gauge his abilities. Their conversation reveals the careful consideration behind Lyle's selection. Lyle, focused and determined, carefully repairs the ancient scripture inscribed with the elvish alphabet. Wearing an apron and gloves, he works meticulously to restore the magical text, hoping to awaken its hidden powers. The quiet workshop surrounds him as he continues this delicate task. Lyle carefully inspects the ancient book, noting the delicate state of its binding as he speaks about the repair process. Till-Lo cheerfully suggests taking a short break, holding a tea set to offer some refreshment. Observing the book, Till-Lo comments on the damage caused by bookworms and the faded letters, showing concern for the fragile text. Mr. Repairman smiles confidently as he asks Lyle where he learned his repair techniques, praising his talent. Lyle modestly responds that his grandfather, who was also a skilled repairman, was his mentor. The two share a moment of mutual respect in the quiet room filled with books and tea. Lyle, thoughtful and curious, offers to share stories about his grandfather and the atelier he inherited. The young man with a surprised expression listens intently as Lyle reflects on his vague but cherished memories. The quiet atelier, filled with books and soft light, sets the scene for this heartfelt conversation. Lyle smiles thoughtfully as he explains to Mr. Repairman how his grandfather taught him the art of repair, emphasizing the importance of building close connections with clients. Mr. Repairman listens intently, holding a small object in his hand, clearly impressed by Lyle's heartfelt words. Nearby, the woman with long hair observes quietly, adding a calm presence to the conversation. Lyle holds the ancient book thoughtfully, reflecting on how each repaired item carries the weight of history and memories. Nearby, Mr. Repairman calmly sips his tea, listening intently to Lyle's heartfelt words about his grandfather's wisdom. The quiet room hums with a shared appreciation for the delicate art of restoration. Lyle earnestly asks Till-Lo to assist him in repairing the ancient scripture, emphasizing the importance of understanding its elvish origins. Till-Lo, looking calm but apologetic, admits feeling sorry for prying into Lyle's past. Their conversation reveals a growing trust as they work together on this delicate task. Till-Lo politely declines Lyle's request to share more about himself and quietly excuses himself from the room. Lyle watches him leave, his expression clouded with confusion and curiosity about Till-Lo's words. The atmosphere remains calm but tinged with unspoken questions. Lyle, his face flushed with anger, firmly rejects the young person's words, asserting his pride as the grandson of the so-called deplorable repairman. His fierce expression shows how deeply he values his heritage and refuses to be diminished. The tension between them fills the room, underscoring Lyle's determination to defend his identity. Lyle carefully examines the torn, blank pages of the damaged book, his expression thoughtful and concerned. He reflects silently on Tillo's somber mood and the troubling state of this important scripture. The weight of the king's earlier words about the book's condition lingers heavily in his mind. Lyle carefully examines a book filled with notes and bookmarks, pondering whether it might be a dictionary containing a diary entry. He hopes this could provide clues to repair the damaged ancient scripture. His thoughtful gaze reflects his determination to uncover the history and secrets within the pages. Mr. Repairman asks Lyle if he is working on an old book, mentioning the country's request for its repair. Lyle responds with quiet confidence, asserting that he is not to be underestimated and hinting that the best repairman in the capital is right here. Mr. Repairman struggles to decipher the badly damaged book, his frustration clear as he sighs and leans back in his chair. Suddenly, he notices someone entering and turns his gaze toward the hesitant figure who quietly calls out to him. Eliza, an elf with braided hair, introduces herself to Mr. Repairman, explaining she has come from the village of the elves to assist with repairs as requested by their village chief. Mr. Repairman, addressed respectfully as Lansama, reacts with surprise and a blush at her unexpected arrival. The room is softly decorated with floral motifs and falling petals, adding a serene atmosphere to their meeting. Mr. Repairman laughs heartily, clearly amused by the situation. The woman with long braided hair and elf ears, determined yet slightly embarrassed, assures him that she has accepted the repair job from her village and will complete it on her own. Their conversation takes place in a cozy workshop filled with light from the windows. Mr. Repairman voices his concern that accepting help might tarnish his reputation, doubting whether the true essence of repair can be restored through borrowed assistance. The woman with long braided hair and elf ears responds thoughtfully, asking him to clarify what he means by tarnish. Their conversation reveals the weight Mr. Repairman places on his name and the pride tied to his craft. The woman with long braided hair, an elf, explains the deep significance and history of the ancient scripture book to Mr. Repairman. He listens thoughtfully but admits the challenge of repairing it without understanding the old elvish alphabet. Their conversation underscores the delicate task of restoring such a treasured relic. Mr. Repairman bursts into hearty laughter, clearly amused by the idea of repairing human emotions like a broken object. He then questions whether borrowing help would truly restore feelings or only tarnish his reputation. The woman with long braided hair listens intently, her expression serious as she considers his skepticism. Our story continues as Mr. Repairman holds the damaged scripture book in his hands, his expression a mix of determination and reflection. He regrets not recognizing the book's importance sooner and vows to restore it for his grandfather. The weight of the task is clear as he contemplates how to repair the torn pages in his workshop. The woman with long braided hair gently explains to Tillo the magic contained in the book, how it brings happiness and nurtures the ancient tree standing tall nearby. Tillo listens intently, surprised and curious about the deep connection between the scripture and their village's well-being. The woman with long braided hair gently explains to Tillo how the scripture's magic can soothe troubled hearts and bring happiness. Tillo listens with a surprised yet hopeful expression, asking her to wait as he shows willingness to help with the repair. Their conversation underscores the scripture's vital role in fostering peace between humans and demi-humans. The young man stands alone, overwhelmed with guilt, repeatedly apologizing and taking full responsibility for what has happened. Nearby, a concerned group of villagers gathers around a seated figure, their faces filled with worry and sympathy. The weight of the moment hangs heavy in the air as the young man's remorse echoes through the quiet village square. The woman with long braided hair, tears streaming down her face, clings tightly to Mr. Repairman as she repeatedly apologizes, overwhelmed with emotion. Mr. Repairman looks surprised and taken aback by her heartfelt apology. The tension in the room is palpable as she seeks forgiveness for what has transpired. The woman with long braided hair solemnly asks Mr. Repairman to lend her his strength, determined to restore the sacred scripture despite the weight of human mortality and sins. Mr. Repairman listens attentively, standing in the doorway, ready to support her resolve. Mr. Repairman listens intently as the woman with long braided hair criticizes him for relying too much on his client. Despite being his grandchild, he calmly acknowledges his understanding of his grandfather's actions and the significance of the scripture. The weight of their family legacy hangs heavily between them in the quiet workshop. The elf woman solemnly explains to Mr. Repairman that Eliza-san experienced the same events and that she came fully aware of everything that had happened before. Mr. Repairman listens intently, beginning to understand the deeper meaning behind the feelings he has sensed since their first meeting. The weight of past connections and shared history hangs heavily between them. The person with short hair, wearing a dress with bow and frills, calmly asks Mr. Repairman if he came to make her grandfather atone for his wrongdoings. Mr. Repairman listens attentively, standing quietly in the room as the weight of her question hangs in the air. The woman with long braided hair sits alone by a large tree, her expression heavy with sorrow and guilt. Later, she walks slowly down a grand hallway, her head bowed in deep regret. Nearby, the young person with short hair stands quietly, watching her with a somber, serious gaze. Eliza-san solemnly reflects on the grandfather's actions, condemning him for destroying a person's life and stealing the hopes of the elven people. Her serious expression underscores the deep pain caused by his deeds. The person with short hair, wearing a dress with bow and frills, shouts fiercely at Tillo, accusing them of being driven by pride and misunderstanding the true feelings of their client. Tillo reacts with shock and surprise, while a young man in the background calls out to Tillo in concern. The tension in the room rises as the confrontation intensifies. The young person with short hair earnestly apologizes to Mr. Repairman, expressing deep regret for their grandfather's irreversible wrongdoings. Mr. Repairman listens quietly, his head bowed in somber acceptance. The weight of past mistakes hangs heavily between them in this tense moment. The determined young person grips their apron tightly as they plead with Mr. Repairman, urging him to believe in their resolve. They explain that only they can correct the mistakes their grandfather made. Using clues from his diary to repair the damaged scripture, Mr. Repairman listens intently, considering the weight of their words. The person with short hair emphasizes the importance of truly understanding each word of the ancient elven scripture to restore its meaning. Mr. Repairman calmly responds, expressing that he will need their strength to mend the torn pages. Together, they prepare to tackle the delicate task of repairing the sacred text. The person with short hair, tearful yet resolute, holds a wrapped package close as they vow to restore the ancient elven scripture to its true meaning. They express a heartfelt determination to bring hope back to their people and accomplish what their grandfather could not. Mr. Repairman solemnly agrees to continue working with the person with short hair, acknowledging their shared responsibility alongside the grandfather. The young elf, determined and hopeful, responds that they will try to believe in him as they move forward together. The atmosphere is serious but carries a tentative trust between them. Mr. Repairman asks Asha if she has already delivered the ancient elven scripture. Asha explains that the scripture belongs to the elves and that the task is difficult under the current circumstances. Lal expresses his gratitude to Asha, acknowledging her invaluable help.